Welcome to Watabaruku Advanced Toastmasters Club, and tonight's theme is going to be the magical power of words. Join us for an inspiring meeting where we're going to learn how to use our words to be quite effective in every area of our lives. Toastmasters International is a non-profit educational organization that teaches public speaking and leadership skills through a worldwide network of clubs. And our mission as a club is to provide a positive and supportive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self confidence and personal growth. Here at Watabaruku, we help Toastmasters become advanced speakers through in depth evaluations, targeted education sessions, and personalized coaching. Every meeting is designed to challenge our skills, stretch our abilities, and equip us to deliver speeches with greater impact and confidence. And I would like to introduce the Sergeant at Arms for this meeting, who is also the Vice President Public Relations of our club, recently minted DTM Maggy Waithiru. Please, Maggy, before you tell us the rules of the meeting, please tell us what one thing are you thankful for saying yes to in 2025? What one thing you're thankful you said yes to in 2025? Over to you, Maggie.
What am I grateful to for saying yes to in 2025? I want to say it is mentoring other people, but I will not say that. I will say it is saying yes to forgiveness. I talk about forgiveness all the time, and sometimes you can talk about it and never practice it. And when you don't forgive, you can find it very hard to relate with other people, because if you can't forgive other people, you can also not forgive yourself. And I was able to say yes to forgiving one person in particular, and I found myself just willing to reach out to her and check out how she was doing. And it turned out it's me who was overreacting. Things were fine. So I'm glad I said yes to forgiveness. All right, now to my role right now as the Sergeant at Arms. It is my plumb pleasure to welcome you all to our meeting today and to remind you that a physical or in-person meeting protocol and online tend to be a little bit different in some ways. So therefore, please pay close attention to make sure that you don't miss out anything. For starters, when you came in, you saw in the waiting room that this meeting is being recorded, and the usual online protocol that is given to us by Toastmasters International says that if it's recorded, then your information is out there, but obviously we try as much as possible to keep it private. What do we expect of you for the renaming convention? Like the way you would have placeholders in an in-person meeting, kindly ensure that you name yourself appropriately so that the Toastmaster of the day knows who is who in the room, so that we're not looking for somebody who is already in the room just because we don't know the name. Therefore, if you are a speaker, put hashtag speaker, the number, underscore your name. TMOD, hashtag TMOD, underscore your name. And the list goes on. I will share this protocol in the chat box to make sure that you make a reference to it if you need it. In fact, feel free to share it in your clubs if you don't already have it. And what else do we expect of you? We know sometimes in a physical meeting, you can't hide, right? Now, in an online meeting, it's very easy to turn off your video. Personally, I'll turn off my video for just a short time, but throughout the meeting, try as much as possible to keep your video on. That way, the speakers know they're talking to human beings and not just the gadget. Please indulge the speakers and all the role takers by keeping your video on. Please mute your mic unless you've been invited to speak. It will allow the speakers to not be distracted. Feel free to engage using emojis and the chat. That will help us know that you're listening and you're enjoying or not the session. We will use the polls to give feedback and vote. The polls are used in two ways: to give feedback to the speakers. You will see a launch for a few minutes to allow you to give feedback to the speakers. It's completely anonymous, and that helps the speaker to get better. In a physical meeting, you tear a piece of paper. For us here, we do it online. We are paperless. And the same goes for the voting. It's also anonymous. When you're here, just know you're most welcome, not only to be a part of today's session, but to be a part of our club, Watabaruku. We look forward to welcoming you as one of our newest members. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much, Madam Vice President, Public Relations and Acting Sergeant at Arms for this meeting, for giving us those guidelines on how we are going to conduct our meeting. I encourage all of us, whenever you're speaking, please turn on your video, especially when our speakers are delivering their speeches. Please turn on your videos. It's quite important to give them that visual cue of how you're reacting to what they have put together. I am Robert Karanja, DTM, the club president of Watabaruku Advanced Toastmasters Club, and I'd like to acknowledge our club officers of the year 2025-2026. And in our meeting right now, we have the Vice President Education, Dr. DTM Kevin Rubia. Kevin, please introduce yourself and tell us what one thing you are thankful you said yes to in 2025.
Much obliged, Mr. President. I'm thankful for saying yes to avocados. For the longest time, I've been trying to gain weight, and this is my latest recipe, avocado on everything. Back to you.
Thank you so much. Something else that works very well is eating fries for every meal. That is going to make you blow up like a balloon. Thank you so much, DTM Kevin, for joining us this evening. And I also like to extend a welcoming hand to all the people who are joining us this evening. And I'd like to give an opportunity for those visiting us for the first time at Watabaruku Advanced Toastmasters Club. Please unmute yourself, say hi to the club, and please tell us the one thing that you're thankful for saying yes in 2025. Anybody who would like to go first?
And go first.
Yes, thank you.
Good evening. This is my first time at the Watabaruku Advanced Toastmasters Club. I was invited by Kevin. Thank you very much, Kevin. And I'm thrilled to be here today and to understand how you conduct your meetings. It is slightly different from what I'm used to. So that's a very interesting thing I'm looking forward to. One thing I'm grateful for in 2025, I would say, is saying yes to a spontaneous holiday earlier in the year. It was a very unplanned, quick trip to Malindi. And I say I'm grateful for it because that's not something I typically do. I like planning well in advance, knowing where I'm going to stay, knowing, pricing of everything, but this was very out of the blue. And I enjoyed myself quite a bit. So I think saying yes more to spontaneous plans.
Absolutely. Let us plan to do that in 2025. Let us plan to be spontaneous in 2025. I hope that is funny. Anybody else who would like to introduce themselves?
My name is Roseline Gatigi. I'm from WFP, Arabian Toastmasters Club. I was also invited by Dr. Kevin Rubia. Thank you very much. One thing that I'm glad that I said yes to this year is a stretch assignment, being a secretary in a working group that brought different HR colleagues from the various UN agencies. It had its overwhelming elements, but the experience has been good. The knowledge and opportunities to make a difference and roll out a few initiatives. I've enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roseline, for joining us this evening. And now we are going to proceed to the rest of our meeting. Thank you to all the other guests who have joined us this evening. And first of all, we are not going to confirm the meetings, the minutes of the previous meeting. We are going to do that in the coming meeting. And an announcement from the club, we are going to have a joint club meeting with the Luboa Toastmasters Club on the 19th of December. That is going to be the third Friday. We are all encouraged to make plans to attend that meeting. Let us all keep our videos on during especially during the prepared speeches, just to reiterate that, and to offer visual positive and supportive feedback to our members. Tonight's meeting is going to be guided by our Toastmaster of the day, who will lead us through the prepared speeches, the impromptu speaking, and evaluations, all tied together by our theme, the magical power of words. This evening, we have the honor of having one of our members, Paul Muwanga, who is also a member of Kampala South Toastmasters Club, serving as the Toastmaster of the day. He has served as a charter president and area director, and recently as a division director. He is very thankful that this year he was accepted to join a board, and the training he has received since then has been very valuable to him. Let us put our hands together as we welcome the Toastmaster of the day, Paul Muwanga. Over to you, Toastmaster Paul.
Thank you very much, President DTM Robert. I'm very honored to be your Toastmaster of the day this evening. I'm just about less than a month in Watabaruku as a member, and here I am as a TMOD. Thank you very much. Today, I chose the theme, the magical power of words. I have been a scientist all my life. It's not until I joined Toastmasters that I started appreciating that there is a science to speaking, a science to how you choose your words. I was last in an English class, possibly more than 40 years ago. And when I started reading the Toastmaster educational materials, I started finding out so many things that I took for granted. And of course, if you can imagine, in case you think I don't know, one of them is working on my voice. It is still work in progress. I hope I'll get there someday. Today, my focus is on the magical power of words. And the intriguing thing, obvious as it may be, is that how we relay our messages to others affects how they hear us and how they perceive us. And just by saying a few words, the way you say them can make a difference between getting the result you want versus getting another result, which may not be so good. I will be giving some tips as we go along. In the meantime, I would like to introduce the role takers. And our first role taker will be the timer, whom I asked a question to tell us what they had looked at and what had changed and how they found the power of words. And DTM Kevin told me that meet yourself where you are. Those were the comforting words a friend once told him. And they helped him realize that progress isn't linear. Success will look different depending on the day. Over to you, Toastmaster Kevin, to tell us about your role.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. As timer, I will keep track of the time for prepared speeches, table topics, and evaluations. I will also alert each speaker of the time they have left using green, yellow, and red virtual backgrounds, which denote specific times remaining. We'll have 2 prepared speeches today, one taking 5 to 7 minutes and the other 10 to 12 minutes. For the 5 to 7 minute speech, I will show a green card at 5 minutes, yellow at 6, and red at 7. For the 10 to 12 minute speech, green at 10, yellow at 11, red at 12. For the other sections, one being the audience feedback poll, I will run the poll for 1 minute. I will signal green at 30 seconds, yellow at 45, and red at 1. Table topics and language evaluations are 1 to 2 minutes each. I will show green at 1 minute, yellow at 1:30, and red at 2. Content and delivery evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes each. I will show green at 2, yellow at 2:30, and red at 3. The Super Grammarians report is 3 to 4 minutes. I will show green at 3 minutes, yellow at 3:30, and red at 4. Let's try to aim to speak until we see the green card. Once you see red, please try to summarize within 30 seconds. I will deliver my report when called upon. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, our timer, Toastmaster DTM Rubia. Next, I would like to introduce our super grammarian, Toastmaster Eric. Toastmaster Eric, as you give us you introduce your role, please share a moment when words, spoken or written, inspired, comforted, or transformed you. Over to you, Toastmaster Eric.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. Many a time, indeed, words have inspired, even catapulted me to a different level of feeling. I cannot think of better spaces than when I am looking at the Holy Word, the Bible, which has very choice words, like in Matthew chapter 7, verse 12. It's called the Golden Rule. Very simple, but very powerful word. Do, as it says in King James Version, do unto others what you'd have others do unto you. Simple words that speak volumes, and you can write books and tomes about it. I move on now to my role as grammarian tonight. And my role is to help us to sharpen our use of language and to celebrate the beauty of words. Yes, indeed, words have power. And another thing is that I will introduce the word of the day. The word of the day today is beguile. And this word means to charm, to enchant, to delight someone, often in a way that could be deceptive or captivating. An example is what I shared for those who saw it. The speaker's storytelling managed to beguile the audience, holding their attention from the start to the finish. Throughout this meeting, fellow Toastmasters and friends, I'll encourage you to look for opportunities to use the word beguile in your speech, evaluation, anytime that you have an opportunity to open your mouth. Try to use the word beguile. Therefore, fellow Toastmasters, I wish to encourage you not to beguile us this morning that you know what you don't, but rather be authentic. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Eric, for that introduction of your role. Our next role taker I would like to introduce is our general evaluator, Toastmaster Roseline Gatigi. When I asked her the question, she told me that she had a feedback on a Gallup Strength Finder, and to her good surprise, she found out that she already had what it takes to be successful. Over to you, Toastmaster Roseline, to introduce your role.
Thank you very much, TMOD. As General Evaluator, I'll provide an insightful and balanced overview of the meeting celebrating excellence and identifying opportunities for refinement, thereby reinforcing Watabaruku's legacy of advanced communication and leadership. I'll deliver my report once called upon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Roseline. I'll now give the first tip before I introduce the speakers. And I would like to request DTM Maggy to please project the third slide, language that fits the audience and purpose. When we are preparing our speech, we need to remember that we prepare a speech for the audience and not for ourselves. And when we are speaking to the audience, we always have a purpose, which is something that we would like to relate to them, and we want an action. Now, I have 3 tips there. When we are speaking to an audience, we should try as much as possible to use universal language. Many times we get used to certain words that are known to us, and we take it obvious that others will understand them as well. We should avoid those words and use language that everybody will understand. The second is that we need to be formal. It's always nice to err on the side of formal than informal. And I gave an example there. Even when I tell myself that I know everybody on the call today, when I say, yo, life is tough, there may be somebody in the audience who may be offended. And secondly, this is a bit not clear. So you can imagine when I say life tests us in unexpected ways. It's more clear, it's direct, and it is formal, and it does not offend anybody. Everybody will be able to understand what I'm saying. And the last tip for the language is that we need to use verbs that convey power and action. Imagine you go to a discotheque and you find somebody who dances very well, and you are trying to answer, how did he dance? Would you say he danced? Or it's better to say he wiggled his waist to everybody's amusement? That is a more vivid description of the dance, and people would be able to paint a picture of what could have been happening at that particular time. That is my tip for today, tip number 1. And now I would like to get on to our prepared speeches. And I would like to introduce the evaluator of our first speaker. And our first speaker is Toastmaster Angela, I think. Yes. And she will be introduced by Toastmaster Njoroge. Toastmaster Njoroge, please go ahead and introduce our first speaker.
There might be a point of order there. Toastmaster Paul, the speaker is Njoroge, and he will be introduced by Angela. And then for the second speaker, there's also a bit of a switch there. The speaker is DTM Nduati. He will be introduced by Sarah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. So when I asked Toastmaster Angela the question, she told me that there are many books that she She would say, I've had an immediate transformative impact on her thoughts and moods. However, when she read the book titled The Tough Optimist by Norman Vincent, his exhortation, never be afraid of anybody, of anything, buoyed her spirits as she thought to strategize and dream for a great 2026, having felt that 2025 was a tough year and being optimistic was a tall ask. Toastmaster Angela, please introduce our first speaker. Over to you.
Your Toastmaster of the day. I have the distinct pleasure and honor of introducing our first speaker this evening, Njoroge Maina. Njoroge Maina is on his second pathway, being persuasive influence. He is currently undertaking Level 3, Project 2. In this project, he has selected the elective Connect with Storytelling. The purpose of his speech this evening is to practice telling a speech as a story or telling a speech with a story. Join me in welcoming Njoroge Maina. Njoroge Maina, the whisper, Njoroge Maina.
I was seated in a dimly lit room, staring at a dimly lit future. Have you ever been in that moment in your life, fellow Toastmasters and guests, where you're wondering, what's next with my life? Who am I? Which direction is my life supposed to take? Remember that moment you had just finished high school? That was me at that point. I just finished high school 3 weeks before, and I was wondering, okay, so where is the manual on what I'm supposed to do after this? I really didn't know what was the best next step for me to take. In this dimly lit room, I was frantically writing a manuscript to a newspaper article which I thought would probably be published in the Daily Nation, but I wasn't that sure. As I was writing, a whisper in my heart telling me, don't stop. Don't stop. Keep writing. I heard the words of Jane a few days ago telling me, maybe they won't publish. Daily Nation gets a lot of articles every single day. Why would you bother? Let me just send it. We'll see. Jen had discouraged me, telling me that maybe Daily Nation will not publish my article since it's one of the top newspapers in the country. Why would they bother publishing a newspaper article of a young man who just finished high school? As I was writing this article, I stopped many times, listening to the barking of dogs outside and the chattering of the animals outside, thinking to myself, maybe I'm just wasting time. But my frantic writing continued. And before I knew it, I was on page 10 of this manuscript. I ignored Jane's voice and sent it to the editor of Daily Nation 2 days later. Have you ever sent a job application to a company that receives 3 job applicants out of 1,000 every year? Have you ever felt the way it feels waiting for that job application? That was how I felt, waiting to see whether Daily Nation would publish my article. To put it in a better way, I felt as if I was standing outside the labor room of my future wife, waiting for the doctor to come and tell me whether it's a bouncing baby boy or a bouncing baby girl. In those 2 days, I wondered whether this dream of me having my article published would really come true. After the 2 days had elapsed, it was Monday again. I was there seated in the sitting room, as if to expect an announcement on TV that my article is on the Daily Nation. At 7:33 a.m. that morning, an SMS, short message, popped up on my phone. Well, it wasn't Jane this time round. Neither was it the girlfriend I thought I had at the time. It was my former principal from my former high school. Where he got my number, I also have no idea. Good morning, Njoroge, he wrote. Congratulations. Your article is on page 2 of the Daily Nation. I was overjoyed. I was elated. I couldn't believe it. I was doing some errands in the house and I stopped and ran to the store where the newspapers were bought and took my copy of the day. And as I walked home that day, I was looking at people as if to ask them, you don't have today's copy of Daily Nation. How come you don't have today's copy? This article is the one that finally landed me a job a week later in a high school as a peer teacher and mentor, something I didn't expect at the age of 19. A young man just from high school not only landed a job, but I was also given a house in the staff quarters in that particular high school by the principal who was there then. This built its roots slowly by slowly into the organization it is right now, Igniting Gems Mentorship, where we currently run high school mentorship across the country in different schools. All this began in the dimly lit room. In the dimly lit room where the future was black. The future was black. But now there was a flicker of hope. Sometimes we are tempted to listen to the barrage of noise that is surrounding us. We are tempted to listen to the Jane on call discouraging us. We are tempted to listen to the many people around us who are telling us, or even rather trying to tell us who we are. Many times, a lot of people have asked me, how do you know your purpose? How do you know who you are? How do you know your passion? The best place to find yourself is not in others. The best place to find yourself is within yourself. Inside here lies the answer to that big question. Who am I? The answer lies in the whisper that comes from your heart. Find the answer in the whisper. Listen to the whisper. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Njoroge, for your speech. I noticed there's been a slight change in the program. Yes, can we have a small poll? Is that what it means?
Correct.
Please confirm that this is a poll for the members to answer. People on call
It should be a quiz. Is it
to
showing up as a
participate.
quiz?
Pardon?
Is it showing up as a quiz for the people who are seeing?
It's an audience feedback on speech
Yes.
number 1. 2 questions. What did you like about the speech?
Question
And
is,
how can the speaker improve their next speech?
is it showing up as a quiz or as a poll?
As a poll.
Okay, let me end that. It should show up as a quiz.
Okay. You'll please let me know when the poll has ended.
We'll have to do this a bit later. I need to fix something in the back end.
Okay. Thank you very much. Can you please end the poll? Or we have to individually close it on our side? Okay.
Ended it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll now get into the second speech by DTM Robert. And I saw in the chat that there is a change of program. He will now be evaluated by DTM Joseph Musau. As I call DTM Joseph to introduce his role, can you please share a moment when words, spoken or written, inspired, comforted, or transformed you? Over to you, DTM Musau.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. Words do not have power, words are power. And I remember the words of my mother when I was growing up. She looked me straight in the eye. I don't know what I had done. I must have done something really terrible. But she said, look at me. I'm your example. Walk around this city and say you're my son. No one, I repeat, no one will touch you. And she was just showing me her influence and reputation in the community. And that has stayed with me until this day. Words are powerful. It's now my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, distinguished Toastmaster Robert Karanja, who is delivering the project known as Reflecting on Your Path. The purpose of this project is for the member to reflect on their growth during the completion of an entire path. The purpose of the speech is for the member to share some aspect of their growth during the completion of this path. It's now my pleasure to give over the virtual stage to our speaker, distinguished Toastmaster Robert Karanja.
You've probably heard that when a workplace or a team describes itself as a family, it's likely to be a very toxic place. Often we think that whenever this word family is used for a mask for bad behavior. However, as I completed this path and over several years, I've come to learn that all work teams, especially, tend to be like families. And the reason for that is most of the time, you do not have the option of choosing who are going to be on your team. You end up with people that you had not chosen before. The same way that you end up with a family that you had not chosen to become a part of. In Addis Ababa, I have 3 families. First of all, I have my wife. Then I have the Toastmasters family who I hang out with on the weekends eating raw meat. And thirdly, I found a third family 3 months ago, which is a hiking group. The reason I know that they are my family is because of something they did for me last week on Saturday at the end of a 5-day trip. You see, we were at a restaurant, and after we sat down and we ordered our drinks, I was served in a metal cup that I thought was particularly beautiful. And so I wanted to have it for myself. I asked the waiter whether I could buy that cup from the restaurant, and they refused. Later, when we got into the bus, it turned out that the group that I had been hiking with had pulled out a mischievous heist, and they presented me with that cup like a trophy. That is definitely a family. And over those 5 days that I was with them, particularly on day 2, when we had the opportunity of seeing something rare, where we could climb a mountain and see a lake that was perched up at the top, I learned a lot about, I relearned the lessons that I had learned from this path, motivational strategies. One of the things that I learned from the path, motivational strategies, especially on level 3, was the impact that our emotions have on the people around us. In level 3, there's a project called Understanding Emotional Intelligence. And in that path, I learned that people are motivated by being optimistic, and you can help people become optimistic by becoming empathic to their situation. However, something that I realized during that climb up that hill was that I had not learned the effect that our situations can have on our emotions. Because you see, by the time I got to the foot of that hill, my emotions were a mess. First of all, we had been traveling for 2 days, and we have traveled 600 kilometers. The bus was hot, it was cramped, and some part of the road leading up to that hill was quite bumpy. To say the least, by the time I got off the bus, I actually hated the seatmate that I had been with, because I'd become quite frustrated and irritated by that whole journey. So as I was climbing up the hill, I had all that emotional baggage carrying with me. It's the same thing that you usually see in family gatherings, where there are all these underlying emotions, and it leads to conflict between the people that are involved. And it led to a bit of conflict between me and a French lady that was part of the group that was climbing to the top of that hill. Because as soon as we started getting deeper and deeper into the forest that was covering the hill, she started complaining and asking us, are we really doing this? Shouldn't we go back? And I felt frustrated by that, because I really, really wanted to see that amazing lake at the top of the hill. And finally, I decided, let me console her by pretending that we are not too far off to the destination. And immediately she caught on that I didn't know how far we were from the destination. However, when she called me out, I felt offended, because it seemed a bit racist. Just because I'm black, does it mean that I usually give false information about how far someone has to go on a trip? And so that is how that journey started to unfold as we climbed up. However, something that was happening, her pessimism started to seep into the other people that we were hiking with, and we started to slowly slow down. Part of the group started to slowly slow down. And the worst thing was that we did not realize how late it was getting. Because you see, the sun was behind us, and as we were climbing up the hill, we were tracking it. And we didn't realize how far low in the horizon it had gotten. So that by the time we got to a certain place, it became pitch dark. At level 4 of the motivational strategies path, I had learned how you motivate people by understanding their strengths, what are the things what are the ambitions, and what are the things that are pushing them forward. However, during that hike, I saw it in real life. For example, there were a group of people who were accomplished hikers, and they were great fitness enthusiasts. And so they moved very fast and they moved ahead. Because of a messed up emotions, I interpreted that as selfishness. Then there was a French lady who kept holding us back and telling us to turn back. I thought, how selfish of her to try and keep me from experiencing that amazing lake at the peak. Then there was a lady who had never hiked before. She was wearing the wrong shoes. She was dressed the wrong way. And I thought, how selfish of her to come on a hike like this and slow us all down. Eventually, I decided I was going to go up because it was getting dark. I needed to see that lake. It turned out that I was the selfish one because I abandoned the people that were behind me. In level 5 of the motivational strategies path, I got the opportunity to create a team and then host a team building event with that team. The people that I had picked were highly motivated, were excited about that particular project that we had, and it ended up being a success. What I didn't learn from that one is how to work with people who you have not picked in a team. In that moment, when I walked away from the people who were struggling, I realized I couldn't abandon them because the people who were ahead had gone so far further, and soon the people behind me, I couldn't see the people behind me. I was all alone in that pitch blackness. Then I had to turn back and meet up with those people who were struggling. It became inescapably clear that we had to apply some kind of motivational strategies to make sure that we arrived safely back to the camp. And we slowly walked to the peak of the hill until we caught up with the people who had gone ahead of us. And we came up with a plan. First up, I would stay in the middle of the group. So because I had a headlamp and it was bright enough to show the way to the front, and also the people at the back would be able to see us. Then we placed the lady who had never hiked before, who was struggling, at the very top front of the group, so that she would determine the pace that we will take. Then we had the more experienced hikers right at the back, with a French lady, so that she would feel reassured and that they will keep pushing us forward. And with that plan, a hike that was meant to have taken about 90 minutes, 45 minutes going up and 45 minutes coming down, ended up taking 4.5 hours. However, despite that much longer time, we arrived safely at the base camp, and we had amazing stories to tell to the people that were meeting us and to tell to our families when we got back home. What I've learned from this experience and also from the motivational strategies path is that teams are like family. You never get the opportunities to always pick the people that you're going to be in a team with. However, you as a leader have the opportunity to pick the motivational strategies that are going to make sure that you achieve the goals that you have set out for yourself. And the first thing that you can do is, like I learned in level 3, understand the emotions that are in play among the people that you are working with. The next thing that you can do is what I learned in level 4, by understanding what are the ambitions of the people that are involved and what can you do to help them, what can you do to align those ambitions with the goals of the team. And finally, you can apply what I learned in level 5, which is create a plan that is going to cater to the needs of everybody in your group and not just the particularly strong performers that you have. That evening, by the time we got to the top of the hill, it had turned completely dark, and I could not capture an image of that amazing lake that I had hoped to capture. However, by the time we had worked our way down to the base of that hill, I had captured a perfect image of the kind of motivational leader that I would like to become. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, DTM Robert, I'm sorry, I'm struggling to see how to get my screen correct, my picture, because I had to get onto another gadget because the other one was running out of battery. DTM Maggy, are we able to get the audience feedback?
It's running and your screen is also still sitting, as we like to say, chikoleko, as in the wrong way.
Yes, I'm trying to figure out how to correct it. I'm not seeing. Anybody who can help can advise me how to correct it.
We would have to come to where you are. Just turn your gadget. Just rotate your gadget itself.
Even then.
Now you're upside down. Turn it again. Now you're upside
Yeah.
down.
Same. As I turn, it's the same thing.
No, it can't be. If you turn it upside down, you should be able to turn the other way.
Yeah, but it turns, you see, it turns with the camera.
Yes.
It turns with the camera. You see?
Now turn it again.
Yeah.
Turn it again. Not the same where you are. Keep another rotation. One more rotation. There. Stay there. Perfect.
It's the same thing.
No, we can see you. No, don't turn.
Oh, you can see me like this?
Yes, we can see at least one shoulder. That's perfect.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah, not really. We'll eventually see your whole body, but for now, you at least your other shoulder. For now, we can see your right shoulder.
Upside down, eh?
No, you are fine. It's not. We are seeing you the right side up correctly.
Interesting.
Daktari, please let me know when you need us to end the poll.
Now would be a lovely time.
I might have ended the one for.
Then we can have the one for
but
better
I saw
speaker.
we had 15 responses and there were 15 people in the room, so it was fine.
The poll for better speaker. Okay, thank you very much for the poll. Thank you. Can we now go to my slides and we project words that promote clear understanding? That is my next tip. Like I mentioned earlier, we prepare speeches for our audience and not for ourselves. We therefore need to ensure that the words we choose are the ones that promote their understanding. The first tip is that the words should be simple. And I gave an example. If you used the word ameliorate in your speech versus improve, you can clearly see what would be easier for the audience to understand. When we use words that the audience do not understand, they take time to try and process the meaning, and by that time, you are 2 or 3 sentences ahead, and they may not follow you anymore, or they may miss some important information. The second tip is that those words should be specific. The example there, I faced challenges. If I said that statement in my speech, versus I struggled and failed to pay my rent, you can clearly see that the second sentence is very specific. It clearly states how I struggled and what was happening to me as I struggled. The third and last tip in this segment is to use transitions to guide the audience. Many times we deliver speeches and we continue speaking. We do not know, the audience may not know whether you have finished your first point, you are now on your second point or your third point. And that is where transitions come in very handy, where you say, my first point is this. And having completed my first point, next, I'm going to speak about this. You talk about it. And then finally, my last point is ABC. And you continue like that. It becomes much easier for the audience to understand your speech. And with that, I would like to now get into the next segment of our meeting, the table topics, where we practice impromptu speaking. And to take us through this segment is Toastmaster Betty. When I asked Toastmaster Betty the question, she wrote something very long, and I'll try to summarize it in the interest of time. She was preparing her level 1 project 3 on vocal variety and body language. Being a quiet and calm person, she had trouble on audibility, and she didn't know how to dramatize her speeches and statements, as well as varying tone. And so she reached out to a Toastmaster who is a friend. They had a chat. The friend made her feel so calm and encouraged that she could do it. She took her through the journey, that it was tougher than she think, and from that chat, she felt at ease and finally delivered that speech, and she can now say that it keeps getting better to deliver her speeches. Over to you, Toastmaster Betty, for the table topics session.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests.
Good evening.
My role tonight is to facilitate the table topics. It's an opportunity for Toastmasters and guests to practice their listening, critical thinking, and impromptu speaking. When I call on you, please try to unmute and put on your video. Think of an answer before beginning. You don't need to tell the truth. Speak for at least 1 minute when the green virtual background will be displayed. I encourage us to use the word of the day. Wrap up in 30 seconds once the red virtual background is displayed. We look forward to hearing responses that will beguile us today. I have 3 volunteers already. And Toastmaster Maggy will go first. Toastmaster Maggy, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes, so my question to you today is, imagine you've just discovered a magical book where every word you write in it becomes true. What would you write first and why?
Ooh. Imagine a book where it's magical that every word I write becomes true. Why would you beguile me with such imagination? That book will have all the characters in my family. It will have my sister, it will have my brothers, it will have my mom, my dad, my grandparents, all of who have long gone. And it will give us opportunities to laugh again, to cry again, to eat nyama choma or roast meat together again, to take whatever opportunities that we had to enjoy life together one more time. Yo, I really want that book. That everything I write in that book will come true. That I will once again spend time with my sister Shiru, spend another opportunity with my late brother Mwangi, my late brother Ken, and my parents. It will be the best book in the world for me. It may not be a bestseller, but for me, it will be the best book that ever existed. I wish wishes were true, but they're not. But thank you for beguiling me with that dream, especially during this season of Christmas. Thank you very much.
Wow, I love the response. I related very well. On to our second speaker, Eddie Cheruto. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so my question to you, if you could speak one word that would change the world's mood for the day, what would you choose and why?
Hmm. Just one word.
Yeah, you can answer it in a minute.
Oh, wow, that is a tough one. I don't have a word that I would say. I think I would have a phrase that I would bestow to everybody and try to beguile them with it. And it is, you are going to be all right. You don't have to have everything figured out at the moment. You just need to trust your step. You need to trust where you're going. You need to trust that what you're doing is going to work out. You will be fine. And if you're not fine, it is not the end. It is not a doomsday. You will be fine. Hardship may come your way. Things might be thrown at you. You might lose a thing here or there, but you will be fine at the end of the day. And if it is not fine, it is not at the end of the day. I don't have a specific word. I wish I could to blanket it all up and make sure everybody's okay, but you will be fine. It's all going to be all right.
Wow, I love that. On to our third speaker, Bethlehem, Nessibu. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello. Okay. So my question to you, if you could erase one event from history, what would it be and why? If you
I
could
could
erase
erase,
one event from history, what would it be and why?
if I could erase one event from history, I'm not sure how many of you can see me through the screen, but I want you to look close and realize that I'm a Black woman. And history tells us that things were not on our side. For instance, my country, in a state of thriving, in a state of advancing in so many aspects, my ancestors were battling fascist Italy, not once, but twice. For instance, my great-grandfather, he died in one of the battles. And also my grandfather was a soldier. He's not alive with us anymore, but he lost his peers, he lost his friends to war. So if I can go back in time and erase something, I'm not even going to say war. I will say colonization. As an Ethiopian, I'm not sure how many of you have been to my country. We take so much pride in who we are as a nation. That is part of because we were never colonized. But I would say that cost us so many things. Because if colonization did not happen, if it had not happened in our continent, just imagine the life we will have, you know, we will have as a continent. So the idea of another country colonizing or invading another nation does not, I won't say that does not beguile me. So I would say I hope I can go back in time and erase that because it really, really has a negative effect on us. And that would be all. Back to you, Madam Table Topic Master.
Well, thank you for your response and also for participating. Timer, can we have one more question? Do we still have time?
We can have one more.
Okay, I would request a gentleman to volunteer.
The super grammarian has his hand up.
Okay. So my question to you, grammarian, if you could time travel and tell your younger self one thing, what would that be? If you could time, okay.
The hand that remained up beguiled you that I have just raised it so that I can respond to a table topics question. But let me tell you, if I could time travel and go to my tender years, I would tell that tender Eric to just live, enjoy life, create powerful connections. I lost contact with all my primary school classmates. I wasn't in one of those schools where people were close-knit. Some I remember as distant memories. I wish sometimes that I could get them. I go online sometimes and try to type certain names to see where it is that I could find them. And sadly, to date, I have not managed to get even a single one. I was in Bomu Primary School in Mombasa County. For sure, it could have been great if we created such amazing bonds back then and continued to inspire one another using the magic of words. Maybe they could all be Toastmasters today. Maybe we could have Bomu Primary School Advanced Toastmasters Club. I tell you, that would really elevate our language, and most likely it would be a bilingual club where most of the speeches would be in Kiswahili. You know, Mombasa is where Kiswahili happens as far as Kenya is concerned. Therefore, I beguile you not. I didn't have that notion that we could create amazing bonds that last a lifetime. Therefore, we lost them. Fortunately, that changed a little bit in high school. We still keep tabs. We even have an alumni group on WhatsApp, and we have met at least once. I could go on and on. That is my word to the younger Eric. Back to you, our topics master.
Wow. Thank you to all of you who volunteered. It's been a nice session. Back to you, our TMD.
Thank you very much, our table topics master. Now I can't be seen at all. Whatever happens, 1 minute I'm there, the other minute I'm not there. I need to speak to this gadget. Before we get into the next segment of evaluations, I would like to give another tip on proper use of grammar. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Can we choose the best table topic speaker? The poll. Thank you very much for the votes. Before we get into the evaluations, I'd like to give another tip on proper use of grammar. If you could just help me, DTA Maggy, and project the slide. Proper use of grammar. The first tip that is very important in this segment is to choose a tense and use it consistently. If you're speaking about the past, that's where you should stick all throughout your speech. If it is present or future, you should do the same. The second is we need to watch the pronoun that it agrees with what we are saying. For example, each contestant must prepare their speech. Many times we could be tempted to say that each contestant must prepare his speech or her speech, and that would not be very correct. And the last tip in this segment is to use active voice. And there are two comparisons there. The audience uploaded my speech versus my speech was uploaded by the audience. In the first sentence, you can see that it is even using less words. It requires less words, and therefore, indirectly, you would be following the Toastmaster recommendation to be concise in your speech. The first sentence uses fewer words compared to the second. We'll now get into the evaluations, and we'll start with the evaluations for the first speaker. The content speaker, the content evaluator is Toastmaster Angela. The delivery evaluator is DTM Bethlehem. And the language evaluator is Toastmaster Eric, in that order. Over to you, Toastmaster Angela for the content evaluation.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, Mr. Toastmaster. This evening, we were beguiled by a wonderful tale from Njoroge Maina. The purpose of Njoroge Maina's speech this evening was to practice using a story within a speech or to give a speech with a story. As part of the content evaluation, I was looking at 3 key aspects. The first one was his speech development. Did Njoroge have a clear introduction, a clear body, and a clear conclusion? The second aspect I was looking for was the audience response. And that was, how did the audience perceive the message Njoroge was passing across? Were they interested? Were they awed? And third, I was looking at the speech value. Was his message original, and did it leave the audience thinking? Will it leave the audience thinking, rather, long after his speech has ended? In terms of speech development, Njoroge's speech was flawless. It started with questions asking us, what would I do next with my life? Who am I? Through these questions, he got the audience thinking and reasoning, trying to understand the message behind the whisper that he was going to give us this evening. He then held our attention raptly with his smooth transitions between the different sections of his speech. Because he was giving a story, his transitions tended to be questions that again had the audience thinking and were able to enhance his speech by ensuring that the audience was not simply listening to a wonderful tale about how he found his purpose at the age of 19, but rather to really think through and try to understand the final question that he asked in his conclusion, again, reiterating, who am I? In terms of audience response, the audience was enamored by his story. First of all, because it was extremely original. To listen to a story in which a person is able to understand and know their purpose at the mere age of 19 is very, very motivating. And the fact that he was earning a salary and even moved into the staff quarters was quite lovely to hear. He also injected a little bit of humor when he told us about his friend Jane, who discouraged him. And that was great in terms of trying to ensure that the audience was kept on their toes while they were listening. Njoroge, to perhaps improve your next speech, I would recommend that your closing be a little bit tighter. What do I mean? Your closing was great. You shared with us so many gems. However, if you could perhaps consider summarizing your closing into one key call to action or one key question, that may be a bit more effective in terms of the audience leaving with a single message. All in all, that was a great story, and I cannot wait to hear your next speech, as well as to see the impact that you will have in the Igniting Gems mentorship program that I believe has been running for quite a number of years and will be a great tool to influence the next generation of African leaders. I will now introduce our next evaluator, Bethlehem Nessibu, who shall be taking us through the delivery evaluation for the first speaker.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Angela. I will evaluate the delivery section of Andy. My apologies. So I will deliver his evaluation from the delivery evaluator's form, which means I will focus on his physical voice and platform style. So, Toastmaster Njoroge, first, I would like to say that you're definitely going to be one of my favorite Toastmasters, and that is solely based on your delivery. You were fun to watch, and not only that, your speech was, it was entertaining at the same time. You were enthusiastic from beginning until the end. during your delivery, you made us feel like, even though this is a virtual platform, you made us feel like we were actually in the room with us, and that takes a lot. And I would say that you've got whatever it takes, which is number one, the physical appearance, because you were moving around and you were running around your room like you were on a big stage. And not only that, I loved national. I'm sorry. Not only that, I loved your voice and the way you were trying to enunciate the message or trying to get your message across with the audience. And I would say another favorite part of your speech for me, the metaphor to use. For instance, when you were saying bouncing, is it going to be bouncing baby boy or a bouncing baby girl? And you were technically bouncing, so that made it. That was the icing on the cake, might I say? Not only that, so for the platform style, like I said, this for me did not feel like a virtual speech delivery. Most importantly to me, the message I got from your speech, because not only are you an inspirational leader, but I would say that you're an inspirational human being, because to achieve that at the age of 19 takes a lot of courage. And you were saying, don't stop, and you said it not but twice. So I feel like that gives it flavor during your delivery. So just a few comments. Your speech was near perfection, but we're in Toastmasters, so here are the few kicks. Number one, at times we were not able to see your hands because you're this artistic speaker. But like I said, we were not able to see your hands at times. I hope this meeting is not being recorded. I don't think so, but if it was, you would have been able to see it. So the next time, make sure to at least show us your hands. And another thing would be, you were so enthusiastic. So make sure to balance that, because, there were times, the last part of your speech, when you whispered, you were calm. Just like that, we needed pauses. For instance, when you said, remember when you finished high school? Let us remember, give us time. But then you moved on to the next part of your speech. But other than speakers in Toastmasters. So I really, really hope to see you in your next assignment. And now I would like to call upon our super grammarian. Where are you? Okay, there you are. So I would like to give it to our super grammarian. Please take it away, Eric Makori.
Thank you. Oh, Njoroge. Wonderful use of language. You have certainly embodied the power of words. Highly appreciated. Your language had the power to beguile us with vivid imagery and memorable phrases, such as a dimly lit room staring at a dimly lit future. That was very poetic, using repetition to reinforce the mood. Listen to the whisper. That was short, striking, and it left us reflective. And it's great that that was the title of your speech, Whisper, and you had it as your closing remark. When we talk about your language, even the name you've chosen for your organization, Igniting Gems Mentorship, oh, fantastic. That also is imbued with inspiration. The best place to find your purpose is within yourself, you said, and that shows how you thought through what you are communicating and distilled your wisdom into a beautiful idiomatic expression. What can you do better? I thought in terms of language. For example, when you talked about, I was waiting as if to expect that there would be an announcement on TV, that can be made a little more clinical. I waited as if expecting an announcement or a TV announcement. Few words, removing redundancy, and strengthens rhythm. It's easier on the tongue, more delightful to the ear. Consider varying your sentence length, short bursts for impact, and longer ones for depth. I appreciate very much generally the power of words and how you embodied it, and you managed to beguile us, leaving us with a sense of enchantment by your imagery and wisdom. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, all the evaluators, for our first speaker. We'll quickly move on to the next set of evaluators in the interest of time. The content evaluator is DTM Japheth. The delivery evaluator is Toastmaster Fatma. And the language speaker, again, is Toastmaster Eric. Over to you, DTM Japheth.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. It's indeed my plum-pleasing pleasure and privilege to evaluate the speech by distinguished Toastmaster Robert Karanja. And I'm looking at speech development. I'll also give comments on audience response. Beside the classical structure of a speech, introduction, body, and conclusion, distinguished Toastmaster Robert Karanja also decided to use the vehicle of a story. And I like the way he introduced the story and developed it to the point where he brought in his experience in completing the path, wonderfully gelling the two together. He also used wonderful storytelling techniques, taking us through this journey. And the audience was carried by your special moments that you created in your story using humor, which gives you access to the back door of the emotions. Wonderfully done, especially when you talked about the trophy, or is it the cup that was gifted to you? And you gave us the story of the French woman that was nagging and always complaining and wanting you to go back. I liked your use of humor, especially when you're narrating those two incidences, the gifting of the trophy and also the nagging woman. You applied your personal story to bring out your experience and how you applied what you had learned, the lessons you learned while pursuing your path of motivational strategies. What do I recommend? A story without dialogue falls flat. I felt that there were many moments within your story that were ready and ripe for dialogue. For example, when they gifted you the trophy, I felt you could have shown us how they did it instead of narrating what they did. Maybe they came to you and said, "Surprise, we have a gift for you," or whatever that would be. And then also this French lady, an opportunity there once again to mimic the French accent and the ladylike voice in her own voice, put words in her mouth. That would have brought out the story in a more dynamic way. Speech development doesn't start on stage, it starts on paper, writing for the ear. In your scripting, the choice of words, the length of the sentences, the way you phrase it, it all starts on paper. And I felt there was an opportunity to infuse more descriptive language, given that this was a hike. There were many instances where you could have used more flowery language to bring out the story. Finally, talk about the transitions. You told us about family in the beginning, that you have 3 families, and then you brought in the story of the cup that you wanted, then you went into the path that you were pursuing, and then you brought in the hike. All these pieces to me appeared independent, standalone silos. I felt there was an opportunity to introduce transitions from one segment of the speech to the other. Otherwise, well done for delivering a wonderful speech. If you work on those areas, the transition, the dialogue, writing for the ear, I can't wait to hear you deliver a speech another day, infused with your humor and wonderful storytelling. I now cede the floor to the delivery evaluator, Toastmaster Fatma Amiyo. Over to you.
Ralph Smedley, our founder, said, "The right word may be effective, but no word was ever as effective as the right word well spoken." Distinguished Toastmaster Karanja was beguiled by speech delivery. In terms of your gestures, I felt you used gestures to reinforce. We were able to see the movement going up. We were able to see the maneuvers as you explained what happened during the hike. I was also able to observe your facial expression. I saw a bit of frustration, which seeped through, courtesy of the story, to show the instances when you're not very happy with the movement was, and you wanted to quickly get to the amazing lake. I was also able to observe your comfortable pace that you used. I was able to follow through the story right from the beginning to the very end. That was well done. I liked your body positioning. I was able to see you clearly, and I loved your background, very clear, not distracting. Your voice was audible. I liked the flexibility in your voice. You wore a very comfortable and confident posture, clearly showing that this was a reflection of a path. Clearly, this was well done. What did I observe that I felt you had an opportunity to work on? The first was the tone when you're showing excitement. I felt you held back a little bit. We would love to have been beguiled when you're showing the amazing lake, because at some point you got there, although it was pitch black. But I felt you held back a bit. The frustration in your story lingered on a little bit further, that probably we didn't see the excitement. The second part was, I felt there was an opportunity to use nonverbal use, especially movement, to indicate the transitions within the path to correlate with. I felt there was an opportunity to move a bit, to show the different levels so that we are able to follow through. Remember, what we see helps us in understanding what you're delivering. All in all, I was captivated by the amazing hike, and you beautifully crafted this hike using your words, using your story, using your voice to show us the reflection of our path. Well done. Congratulations. I would like to now over to our super grammarian. Over to you, Toastmaster Eric.
Great, thank you. And as usual, DTM Robert Karanja. Yes, you are indeed emerging to be a DTM who is also a word master. So many phrases that I could even be able to recount. Very well done for your amazing use of language. You certainly enjoyed your storytelling, reflections on leadership through words. Phrases like calculated heist. It became pitch dark, vivid, transports us to the event itself. I also loved the choice of words that captured emotions. This is beautiful use of language. Her pessimism started to seep into the other people. You used repetition, such as, I really, really wanted to see that lake, which really shows emphatically how you desired to be there and nothing was going to hold you back. Phrases like I had captured a perfect image of the kind of leader I would like to become. Quite aspirational in itself, but also it helps us to see how words can morph into a picture because you use the word image of a leader that you'd like to become as if it was a picture that that came before you, that formed before you. Very well done. There are so many other wonderful areas that you used language well. There is a point where you could improve. For example, you talked about people having gone so far farther. You might have wanted to say much farther ahead. Meshed up emotions, maybe mixed up emotions. It's a more standard way of expressing the idiom that you had in mind. Overall, wonderful use of language that painted the picture for us. You took us on that emotional roller coaster with you. Very well done. And you beguiled us to really have been transported into that mountainous terrain that you are. Yes, your words continue to beguile us with honesty and vivid storytelling. Keep it up. Back to you, Master.
Thank you very much. Our evaluators will now have the poll for the best evaluator.
We could do with a few more polls. We are 20 people in the room. Only 7 people have voted. Calling your attention to the screen in case you had been distracted like I was. Thank you for the one more. Maybe the TMOD can be saying one more thing about the use of words as we vote.
Okay, yes. Can we have my last tip, which will be very fast in the interest of time? Fortunately, most of the people have, many people have mentioned it, especially the super grammarian. I think he went and researched about my theme for the day and had a nice time commenting. So the last tip on pronouncing words correctly. Pronouncing words correctly. The most important thing is to know your words before you speak them, especially if they are names, places, or names, words that you are not very familiar with. Have a chance to practice them. If you cannot get them correctly, replace them. The second tip is to practice out loud, not just on paper, which is what Toastmaster Eric mentioned. The most important thing is to write out your speech in full and then practice it out loud. When you do that, the words become second nature to you. You get so used to them that your speech flows naturally. And the last tip is to replace a word with a simpler word if you cannot get it correctly. Thank you very much, DTM Maggy. We'll now get into the roll taker reports, starting with the timer. Over to you, DTM Kevin.
Most of us spoke within time. During Njoroge's speech, however, I failed to display my video as I was firefighting on the side. My apologies. I do not want to beguile you by displaying cards at random times. Now, our second speaker, however, was supposed to speak between 10 to 12 minutes and took 9 minutes 14 seconds. DTM Robert, you were slightly below time. Our table topics participants were all within time. Maggy took 1 minute 23 seconds, Eddie 1 minute 8 seconds, Bethlehem DTM 2 minutes 10 seconds, and Eric Alligator Makori 2 minutes 18 seconds. When it came to evaluations, Angela, unfortunately, I displayed the green card a bit before time. However, the yellow and the red were displayed within the right time. And you finished with 3 minutes 40 seconds. That was slightly above time. Bethlehem took 3 minutes 37 seconds, which was also above time. And Ali summarized his evaluation in 2 minutes 11 seconds for the first language evaluation. For the second evaluation, that is DTM Robert's speech, Japheth took 4 minutes 10 seconds. You take the cake. Congratulations. That was above time. Then we have 3 minutes 10 seconds, Fatma Amiyo within time, and 2 minutes 35 seconds, slightly above the allocated time for Ali. We are doing well on time, I must say. Congratulations to all of us. And back to our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, DTM Kevin. We'll quickly move on to the Super Grammarian. Toastmaster Eric, over to you. Toastmaster Eric, you're muted.
Oh, thank you. I've said very many important things that I'm unable to repeat, but I will go right ahead. Let me not beguile you that I had a few seconds of grandeur. I said that many of the areas of language that I was looking at were in the prepared speeches, and that I have already given. But I really have these gems. For example, Bethlehem said about a close relative, he lost his friends to war rather than they died in the war or something like that. The idea of another country colonizing another does beguile me. She used the word beguile, does not beguile me. She used the word beguile, but still delivered a very important message to those who believe that there was any benefit from colonization. There is, yes, a content evaluator, Angela, beguiled by a wonderful tale, held our attention raptly. Beautiful use of words. Japheth, oh, as always, expect him to say plum, pleasing, pleasure. I will start doing the same. Alliterative and rhythmic, beautiful words, which also share the etymology. Access to the backdoor of emotions. Fatma, captivated by the amazing hike and many other wonderful uses of language. Keep it up. I love the fact that about 15 of you use the word of the day, Maggy, Cheruto, Bethlehem. I did use it very liberally as well, sometimes incorrectly. Angela, well done, and Fatma, as well as Kevin Rubia, DTM. Very Well done. I might have missed one or two, especially in the prepared speeches as I look at other things. Keep up the progress. Back to you, our general evaluator, or is it Toastmaster? Please unmute Paul Muwanga, TMOD.
I am the next victim on the same. Thank you very much. Let's now hear from our general evaluator, Toastmaster Roseline. Over to you, Toastmaster Roseline.
Thank you very much, TMOD. This meeting has beguiled me. The magical power of words. Let me walk you through my feedback. I will start with preparation. Congratulations to this Toastmasters Club. All roles were filled in good time. Agenda, word of the day was shared early. If I go to the pre-meeting setup, meeting room was opened on time. Attendees were welcomed warmly into the room. I totally enjoyed the quiz at the beginning, and it was so fitting to the theme because it was about word spelling. Not sure if I got to see the speakers testing their audios and making sure they can be seen clearly. In case this was not done, that's an opportunity for us to improve in that. When it comes to the opening business session, the presiding officer began on time. Attendees were well informed about the club. The president informed members that the minutes would not be adopted at that particular time, but it would be done at a later stage. The club executive committee was introduced. Well done. Toastmaster of the day introduced the theme very well. And you've walked us through the use of grammar, simple language, pronunciations, and you were giving us examples on how we could utilize these tips that you've given us. Well done. The agenda posted on the planning group changed, hence there was a little bit of confusion, but kudos to the TMOD Sergeant at Arms who quickly advised on the changes and we were able to progress. Prepared speeches, you beguiled us with your speeches. The speakers were well prepared, well done. Table topics, the topics master selected participants who did not have roles. That is well done. The topics were creative and relevant to the team. Kudos to the participants on taking up the challenge. You did not ghost the table topics master and you put on your videos. So congratulations to Maggy, Eddie, Bethlehem, and Eric. Speech evaluations. We had great evaluations with specific examples from the speeches that were delivered. You were able to explain what they did excellently and also to show the areas of improvement. Perhaps the area of improvement in this section was in being succinct, because most of the evaluators, based on the report we've been given by our timer, were slightly above the time allocated. When we look at the functionaries, the role takers introduced their roles clearly. The timer was honest to say he missed the first speaker's timing. That's good, instead of just making up a time for the first speaker. And the super grammarian also reported on the use of the word of the day. I also loved the engagement from the participants. You could see the emojis flying after the speeches, after the evaluation. At least it helps the speakers and the evaluators see that we are still with them and we are appreciating what has taken place. Online meeting management, well, technical challenges were handled effectively. There are very few meetings I think you attend where you will not have a challenge here and there. But the key thing is handling those challenges quickly and efficiently to avoid us losing on time. So congratulations for handling those technical difficulties in a professional manner and even with humor. As Maggy was telling TMOD, okay, turn it. We're seeing you, Chikoleko. So at least it helped ease a tense moment. You can imagine how the TMOD at that time you're tense. You're like, oh my God, why now? Not at this time. Why am I having these hitches? But bringing humor helps someone relax. So well done, Maggy. One thing we could also work on is testing the system. At some point as you launched the poll, you're like, is it a poll? Is it a quiz? What are you seeing? Okay, let me do it again. Give me some time. So just testing and making sure everything is working right will help us save on time. Overall impressions, wow, well done. An awesome meeting. I've totally enjoyed myself. An area we can improve on, though we're not so badly off, I can see we're just within time, is on timekeeping. I think there are areas where we could have saved on time. We experienced some time overruns. I encourage the club to continue with the execution in running club meetings. I've really enjoyed myself, and back to you, TMOD.
Thank you very much, our general evaluator. In the interest of time, I'll just quickly summarize and tell you just one little secret. When I was researching about the theme, the magical power of words, I decided to zero in the judge's guide and ballot under language. If you go and have a look at that segment and read it again, you will see that my tips are all based on what is mentioned there. I have been honored, and it is my pleasure to have been your Toastmaster of the day. I hope you have enjoyed the meeting as much as I have, unless you missed out on enjoying my mishap with the video, which thanks to Copilot, I was able to correct. I now hand over the meeting back to the president. Thank you very much. Back to you, DTM Robert.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Paul Muwanga, for that amazing session, for those amazing lessons that you've given us. Please, let's appreciate him with our emojis, with our claps. If your video is on, thank you so much for that amazing, amazing session. And also thank you to all the role takers who helped us run this meeting. First of all, the role takers who visited us from other clubs, and also the role takers of Watabaruku Advanced Toastmasters Club. You're the ones who made this meeting possible. Before we conclude, I would like to present the results of the polls. And here we go. First up, we have the polls for the table topics session. And the best table topics speakers were DTM Bethlehem Nessibu and Alligator Makori. Congratulations on an amazing, amazing job. Then for the evaluators poll for this meeting, the best evaluator was DTM Japheth Musau. Congratulations. And finally, the best speaker, drum rolls. The best speaker at this meeting was Njoroge Maina. Congratulations, Njoroge, for an amazing, amazing speech. And also other recognitions from our club. First of all, we would like to recognize the two newest minted DTMs in our district. We have Maggy Waithiru, DTM Maggy Waithiru. Congratulations on an amazing achievement. And also DTM Maina on another amazing achievement. 2 DTMs in 1 month at Watabaruku Advanced Toastmasters Club. Come here. This is where we help you complete that journey of becoming a DTM. And now, if you'd like to become a member of our club, I will invite you to reach out to our VPM, Gilbert Rutembemberwa, or leave us your email or contacts, and we are going to get in touch with you. And right now, I'd like to hand over to our Vice President Education, Dr. Kevin Rubia, in case he would like to fill any roles for the future meetings. Any?
Not at the moment, but please reach out to me in case you're interested in a role, it will be a joint meeting on the third Friday, not the second, the third Friday of the month. I forget which date it is. Back to you.
19th December. Thank you so much for that. And now I would like to hear feedback from our guests. What did you think about our meeting this evening? What impressions would you like to share with us to help us grow and become better?
Looks like we've lost DTM Robert.
As DTM Robert comes back, I'd like to hear from, welcome, Mr. President.
Thank you so much. You didn't even wait for me for 1 minute. You just took over as president of the club. Is that how it goes, huh?
Yes.
Anyway, I understand we need to go to bed. Anybody who would like to give us their feedback on how our meeting went? Any guest? Yes, Njoroge?
I can see you're very serious with protocols here. Just to confirm, am I a guest before I speak? You know, the president seems to be very serious.
You're a guest, a Toastmaster who is visiting us. Yes.
Ah, okay. You know, one needs to be sure around here. One feels like they can get arrested. So I loved the meeting. Watabaruku Advanced, always top notch in the way you deliver your meetings. And I love also the way you run your online meetings. Should be the sort of like the definition of how people should actually run online meetings in other clubs. I'm really picking a lot of things. The evaluations are always on point. Thank you to the evaluators that have given us feedback as the speakers. I also love the fact that you're generally a bubbly club. Much as it's an advanced and a serious club, one does not feel the seriousness that much. It is serious, but it's never that serious. So let's continue being happy. See you at the Hill on Tuesday. I am inviting you to our club indirectly. The Hill Toastmasters Club is where I come from. Those of you who are in Nairobi, we're having our next meeting this coming Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Nairobi Club. Yes, we are also advanced. Yes, we are advanced. We are advanced. See you then.
Thank you so much, Njoroge Maina from the Hill Toastmasters. Thank you so much for speaking at our club. And yeah, I do encourage all the members of the audience to visit the Hill Toastmasters Club on Tuesday. I think I'll take one final comment from the guest before we close the meeting. Anybody else who would like to speak? Okay, because of time, a final big thank you to all our members, visitors, and visiting Toastmasters for making time to be with us this evening. Like our Vice President Education said, our next meeting is going to be on the 19th of November, the third Friday. It's going to be a joint meeting. We're going to share the link. It's likely going to be the same time. We look forward to seeing you all again. We hope you enjoy your weekend. Have a good evening. This meeting is now adjourned. All right, good night.
Good night, everyone. That was lovely. I know, Njoroge, you really want your club to be advanced. For it to be advanced, some of us have to come and visit you. For the time being, we're trying. Thanks, everyone. We're really happy to have you all here.
Congratulations.
The president, I'm just saying goodbye.
Congratulations to our newest DTM in town, DTM Maggy.
Yay! Absolutely. Yes. Thank you.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate. Thanks everyone for your support.